Good morning, hello, good day. Whenever you're witnessing this, hello, you amazing, wonderful, sparkling star. Yes, you are a bright light in this world. Good to be with you. I am Courtney, host of Stars of the Morning Light, and this is the Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time live show. So, this is actually the end video to a three-part playlist about 3D consciousness and what do we do about it. This is, of course, entitled Higher Love. Is it attainable? Can we achieve this? Can we change ourselves and the world around us through what is known as like the Christ consciousness? We are going to be covering love today, of course, then. Love, 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 love. Happy Friday. I hope everyone is well. Before we get into it, I just said there's a playlist. I just created that for everyone, knowing that this video is going to put a nice little bow from where we began 2 weeks ago to where we are now. There are going to be three messages. The first video was the how and the why, as in, how is it that we experience 5D consciousness in just these small little pockets, moments of time, inner peace, a good day, and then all of a sudden we bounce back, we fall back, we're in our third consciousness thinking, 3D. So do know, if you are new here, welcome to Stars of the Morning Light. Consciousness is frequency. Frequency is consciousness. Lucky Stone 8 and I will be talking more in depth about this tomorrow night, February 8th of 2025, in our Esoteric Tea series, as we are going to be talking more about 3D, 4D, 5D, and above. Why is that? That's what the first video covered. And that first video of the how and why it is so hard to sustain fifth dimensional consciousness thinking and living experiences is because usually we have thought patterns, habits, and behaviors associated with codependency. And so it's all relational, which isn't that the case, folks. That we're doing good. We're having a great day. We started our day off well. We are meditating. We are in the flow of the harmony and the peace. And then all of a sudden we have a conversation or something comes in to present fear. And the way we react based off of old thought patterns, habits, and behaviors that are still very, very much ingrained in us has us falling right back into 3D living. That's the first video. And we explore how intrusive and deep codependency can be. It's all relational. The second video was very much based off of personal experiences that I shared with people, stories of my life, to draw on this concept of choice, this concept of control, this concept of unmanageability, this concept of how we are all connected. And I presented some questions towards the end based on choice, based on energy, based on cause and effect and the propulsion that some of our choices we make evolve into things that are not so good for us. And then what do? And I posed the question, do we think and feel that humans, the totality of humans, all the humans, should be able to explore their inner powers, explore their abilities? I posed that question. The reason I pose that question is because, guess what, Star? You're a human as well. So what we think about someone else We got to throw ourselves in the mix as well. Today is about love. And what we will come to find at the end of today is that from all three of these videos that will be in a playlist, they are in a playlist currently, 3D consciousness. By the end of today, I am going to demonstrate to all of us that there was an ongoing theme, and that the theme to all these videos, when we really have eyes to see and ears to hear, that the theme to all of this is not only the cause and effect as to why it's so hard to sustain fifth dimensional thinking and living. Not only is it the cause and effect of it, it's also the cure to relieve ourselves from it. So stay tuned, be with us. Thank you for all the new subscribers. Cheers. Please like this, share it, and enjoy. I see that Jackie J came in. Good to see you, my dear. Because I am live, I do try to engage with the audience at different times. And every Friday, we pull from our deck of sacred geometry cards for today's message, and just a little bit for you to witness and see what the sacred geometry is like, and for you to kick back, get your coffee, settle in. This is when I have everybody starting to come in and flow. Good to see you, Seeker of Truth. I see you, Shelley. Good to be with you, and Neil. Our card for today. It's the clue to the ending of all of these three videos. Oh my goodness, my cards. The cards that are picked for us, they know where I'm going. They know what the true message is. It's number 41, synergy. The frequency of synergy supports our allowance and acceptance of not so obvious, never seen before combinations and unions that result in new ways of functioning, working, thinking, relating, loving, and being. It reminds us to embrace the unfamiliar so that new yet exciting co-creations can give birth to a new reality. Oh, my deck. It so knows what I'm going to be talking about. So, synergy. And I'm hoping this camera picks it up well. This card, this sacred geometry, and yes, there's a bit of a glare. This sacred geometry here, it's so faint. It's so faint. So for me to actually get all the little details for you would be very difficult. And the reason synergy is so faint is because it's really flowing through all things. And of course, on the back end, when this video is posted after going live, it does show up much easier. But take that in. Co-creation of a whole new reality. Synergy. It's lovely. Absolutely lovely. Oh, it makes me happy. So before we dive real deep into love, I want to encourage everyone right now, as you're listening, if you haven't already done so, go to the link in the description for the Patreon account for Stars of the Morning Light. Consider, I encourage everyone to at least join as a free member, because this weekend I'm going to be posting free videos for anyone who is at Stars of the Morning Light on patreon.com. The link is in the description. So even if you're catching this later, please, the videos will be free. They're going out to everybody. And I once again want to iterate that the community there, the community it is one of the most remarkable things I have ever witnessed. These cherished, treasured souls come together and help each other manifest, heal, learn, grow. It is an amazing online community that frankly, I've never witnessed before. In true, authentic willingness, support, acceptance, encouragement, faith, help, healing. It is amazing what these people are doing. I also teach there twice a month. So please, I encourage that you go at least make an account, join for free, and then explore through all the videos that would be available to you and the amazing community at Stars of the Morning Light on Patreon. It is absolutely, I mean, hands down, I bow down to these people. They're amazing, just amazing. It's an amazing group of individuals. So, happy Friday. Every Friday show is to give you some food for thought over the weekend. And today we're going to be talking about love. Did you know? This is this blew my mind when I sought out to talk about love. I went, I haven't reviewed the different types of love in a while. I mean, it's been quite a while. I think it was 2013 was the last time that I was really studying about love to begin the process of trying to obtain this aspect of Christ consciousness, right? To obtain this love that is talked about in so many faiths. And because I knew that what we experience in reality here, quote unquote, reality 3D, which is what we're focusing on. And remember, consciousness is frequency, frequency is consciousness. To obtain something higher, I really had to understand love because everything else comes and goes. All the other human emotions, all the other human experiences come and go. But love is the true reality, in my humble opinion, because it is the energy that continuously flows through all things. So it had been a while. That was my 2013. I was very much studying love and how to obtain higher love and sustain it and how to go about it. Well, so I Googled that Google, that Google that tells us things. And there are now 8 forms of love, apparently. I'm going to read this list to everyone. This list is, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I'm bringing it up because when I read it, I went, whoa, this might explain a lot of society today. So let's talk about it. We have one of the types of love, the love between friends, philia, the love between friends. That is the community on Patreon, Stars of the Morning Light. Friends, love between friends, those friends that you've had for a long time, those friends that you met just 2 weeks ago, but man, feels like you've known each other forever. The love between friends, philia. Then we have uh this list changed a bit, how they put it in order, so give me a moment. Uh Pragma, the love that is characterized by commitment and is often presented in long-term relationships. So regardless of uh contract marriage, right? Regardless of um, who the partnership is in, this is a commitment for a long-term relationship. That could be 10 years, 5 years, 30, 40, regardless of if there's a paperwork attached to it. My mother and her partner were together for 30 years until he passed away recently. That was very committed relationship. But did they ever get legally married? No. Pragma. Eros. Okay, so this is the physical love or sexual desire that involves passion, lust, and or romance. So this would be that deep connection that we have with usually those committed partners. That is very nice to have, especially leading into Valentine's Day. Yes, this is how we enjoy ourselves. Passion, lust, romance, which that love can go very deep. That is where we get concepts of like transcending dimensions during the acts of. Let's say that. Then we have agape. This is the selfless, unconditional love and care for others that is not sexual. What was interesting when I read that selfless, unconditional, for a long, long period of time, agape love was associated with the love of God, the love that God has for us. And the way it used to read, and this is why I'm bringing this up, the way it used to read, even just a decade ago, was that it was almost untainable to have unconditional love for a fellow human, either committed or not, just unconditional love, love and care for others that is not sexual. That was usually always represented as how God loves us, and that is what we needed to strive for. And so even if you Googled it in 2013, that is what the definition would most likely have given you. As if we as if it was only the saints that and the prophets and whatnot that were able to obtain that kind of love. That is not what is said here. It is literally trying to say then to those who are Googling of today, the young people of today, it is obtainable. Unconditional love. We will talk more about that. Um, Philotia. I had to pronounce that right. That is a Greek word, philotia. The love of self or self-love. Now, the Greeks did think that we had to have that first, philotia, before we could even move into any of these other loves. Even the love that is years of passion and lust and very intimate connection, agape, any of it, love of a friend, it didn't matter. You had to have that love of self first. Then there is the family love, the love shared with family members such as parents, grandparents, siblings, and cousins. Kind of tricky in today's world. We live in a world today that says you don't necessarily have to love them, except that they are family members, but you don't necessarily have to love them. There's no condition, no dogma, no rule saying that you have to. Because oftentimes, as this list started with the love between friends. So in today's world, it is more emphasized to find your tribe, to find your community, to find your group of people. Not saying don't love your parents, not saying don't love your children, don't love your brother or sister. I'm saying it's interesting how these lists come to be. Ludus. A playful love that is defined by flirtation, seduction, and sex without commitment. Now, I will tell you, folks, this was never even on the list. This is what blew my mind, and especially the next one that I will read to you. So there are 8 on the list. If you just flat out plug in types of love into a Google search, this is what you will receive. Ludus, defined as flirtation, sex without commitment, seduction. Never before, this is what threw me off, never before would that have been in a definition of love. Love. Would it been in many characteristics of the human development and things that we do in life? Yes. Would it have been those characteristics of a human be in a lot of different psychology material? Yes, it would have. But we wouldn't have associated it with love. So that is new to me. And I think it's representing that playful youth acceptance of one's sexuality, acceptance of playfulness and joy that comes out of having connections like that, the flirtation. But yet it was never in that list that it identified itself as love ever before. So please take note of that. If I was a young lady, as I was once, I'm thinking high school. I'm thinking post high school. If I was a young lady of today and I Googled this, types of love, because I'm wondering if anyone's ever going to love me, as all young people do. Am I ever going to experience true love, right? We all go through that. It's a rite of passage. And I read this. I would have felt that that was giving me permission to have a lot of sex without commitment. I would have felt that, yeah, all the flirting that I do, trying to seduce others, was a part of finding that love, was associated with love. And as an adult woman, and I'm speaking for myself right now, looking back on those years, that had absolutely no association with love. So it's interesting that it's on this list. It's as if it's giving permission. And I'm not judging it. What it is that's not love. Agape, that's love, unconditional. And I bring that into the last on the list, obsessive love. The intense passion and obsession with a partner that can be driven by fears and insecurities. Hmm. Love. They put that in love. Obsessive love. The intense passion and obsession with a partner that can be driven by fears and insecurities. Hence the first video of this series. Much codependent thought patterns, behaviors, and habits that are really driven by insecurities and fears. Never before was the one that was just listed, flirtation, sex without commitment. None of that was ever associated with actual genuine love. It was things that we would have had to have healed. Same with obsessive love. As this definition has it in this list, they are trying to say that this is a form of love. Well, in an unhealed world, I guess so. Here's the thing though, once again, When I read this, I imagined I was a young woman again, high school, which Google was not around when I was in high school. So I'm trying to imagine that a young Courtney had Google, and I Googled it and I read it. Obsessive love. Hmm. When I was in high school, many of you might not know this, I had a boyfriend who was actually extremely obsessed. He started stalking me after I broke up with him. Is that love? No. Was any of that relationship love? No. It was two broken beings that got together. But if I was a young girl and I read this, once again, even though it says driven by fears and insecurities, because it is associated with this concept of love, then it would have played into my mind even more so of, well, we can heal. We can change this. I can fix him. Hmm. That is what young people are Googling today. Very much so. And I will say many of us, at different pockets of time in our lives, we have either gotten married, tried to have a commitment of a long term, what have you, based actually out of those last two. The fun, the seduction, the flirting, the great feelings we got, the cat and mouse game of it all, the chase, that then turned into fears and insecurities. I myself got married out of fears and insecurities. I became aware of that years into my marriage. That, wow, why did I get married? Oh, because I was scared of so much. And I had insecurities that I was never going to experience this thing called love. So we make these decisions, these choices out of very unhealthy thought patterns, habits, behaviors that the world now, when we Google, associates that with actual love. Hmm. Makes the view of the complexities of our society even broader now, or even more, for me, understandable. Because, like I said, if I was a young woman who just lonely on one night Googled about love and that list came up, it would confuse me greatly. It would confuse me. So, I wanted to put that out there because a lot of the community here is a bit older. And we have a lot of life experience behind us about experiencing various forms of what we thought was love. And there's many in our community too that are still questioning, does unconditional love exist? Can we actually experience it? Well, that is what today is really about. I see that Robert V came in. Good to see you, my dear. Good day, good day. Happy weekend. Um, please hit the like button, share, subscribe, and enjoy. Let me know you're enjoying with that like. I appreciate all of you. And I'm curious, please leave a comment below if you're watching this later or even now. When I just read those, were any of you shocked? Were any of you questioning if that love is real, if that love can happen, where we are with apparently love of family, right? Where are we at with it? Do that self check-in real quick. Where am I with love? Do I think I've experienced love? If I have, what was it truly like? Leave a comment below. We all learn from each other, and it's the individual experiences that make this channel great and make the community here great. Robert just said, I was shocked. Didn't know that about you. so so hip, Courtney. Yeah, so hip. When we take that self check, we're checking in with ourselves. And all of these videos that are a part of now this playlist of the 3D consciousness are in that representation for us to check in with ourselves. Where are we at with it? Where are we at with these things? It's because, like the Greeks would say, love starts with self. I will always, I am firm in my stance in this, that to grow, change, develop, ascend, evolve, what have you, it takes 3 stages. It takes 3, and these stages can also be coincide with one another, but it takes 3 components, and it's all forms of communication. Just as how our brain needs to communicate with the rest of our body to help us grow and mature as we age, same as we have to communicate with things to grow and mature and change. Those 3 are the communication with self to self. That is where those Greeks are talking about self-love first. That there is no way to obtain higher love or even intimacy, true love experience with another, even love of just friendship or family. It is not possible if there's not some self love being acknowledged and entertained within first. So for me, the communication from self to self, me, myself, and I, doing those check-ins. Where are we really at? How are you doing, Courtney? I do it every day. I do it all the time. Checking in with myself. I also every day tell myself that I love myself. That is not in a narcissistic way. That is because I am here as an adult to love the younger Courtney that grew up. The teenage Courtney who was full of a lot of anger. The 20-something Courtney who, still full of a lot of anger, used a lot of that lotus love to think that I was fulfilling something. 30-something Courtney who was scared and full of fear because in my mind, I needed all these things that society said I needed. I needed the marriage, the white picket fence, the good career, the 2.5 kids. And I wasn't really having any of that. And I'm in my 30s, full of fear and confusion. This Courtney of today, who's in her 40s, goes back to all of those Courtneys and tells them how much they are loved, tells them how much I care for them, and that I will give them quality time to express themselves. I will listen to what their fears really are. I will listen to their insecurities. I will then help guide them. I will cherish all of who they ever were, who is me. I spend a great amount of quality time with myself because who else is going to? Who else has that kind of power? Who else really knows the complexities of what our young selves in our development were really going through? Who knows that stuff? No one can really know that stuff. You can tell the stories, you can try to express it, you can show them pictures. When I had all my piercings and whatnot going on in the 90s, we can show things, we can try to have others understand, but no one outside of you is truly going to know what you need, how you want to be loved, how you express love. So we check in. Communication with self to self. Communication with self to self. I love you, right? And before I continue into other things right now, because of course, from self to self, it goes to self and others. I put a short out there quite a while ago. I put a short out there quite a while ago that was about how to express love to another. And you can do this with yourself too. Years and years ago, I think it was when I was trying to learn about love. And because I was trying to learn about love, my husband was like, oh, shoot, I guess I should do that too. And he was the one who actually found this. It was a older rabbi, wise man who is most likely passed on by now. Um, a rabbi of his synagogue who then, of course, counseled a lot of couples. And of course, he was also married. You know, to be a rabbi, you usually are married. So he eventually figured out, and it's beautiful, it's absolutely beautiful, that when we say, I love you, which is the standard phrase, soon here, everyone is going to receive a card by next Friday that says, I love you. Hopefully. And if not, get yourself some flowers. I started doing that at a young age. I was buying myself flowers by the time I was in high school. I'm going to get myself some flowers because damn it, I deserve it. So do that. Treat yourself. I love you, right? Standard phrase. Well, this lovely being really sat with that. And he came to understand that we live in such a I focused society. Which this might sound like a contradiction to what I just said. We have to be I focused in many ways when it comes to loving ourselves, when it comes to healing ourselves, when it comes to understanding how we relate to people, places, and things. So we do have to have that I focused. But then when we express love to another, we're saying, I love you. And he said then, you know what? If you truly love that other person, put them first in that sentence. Just move the words around and express it as in you, I love. Big difference. Big difference. When we put the other person at the beginning of that statement, that is showing that other person, I see you. I take in all of your characteristics, good, bad, and different. I'm acknowledging you. All of this, all of the little aspects, all of the unconditional is actually represented and understood when we just change the words around and we say, you, you, I see you. You're wonderful. I see all of your flaws. I know you inside and out. All of that is represented when we say, you, I love. So Brad and I have been practicing that for a long time. There's some people in this community that heard that little short and started practicing it, and it's an amazing opportunity to feel and experience it different. Because if we're really truly trying to express, hey, I love you, flip the words around. You, I love. So even when we're talking about ourself and really taking care of ourself, there's mirrors in this world. We can stand in front of a mirror. So I also encourage everybody to do this. Stand in front of a mirror, look at yourself and say, you, I love. And you will feel and know that within all your flaws, within all your insecurities and fears, that you know better than anyone else. Doesn't matter in that moment because you, I love. So I'm just throwing that out there. I see that Scotty Boy came in. My goodness, Scotty Boy. I think this is the first time I've ever seen you in one of my chats. Good to be with you, my dear. And I see Lucky Stone 888 also came in. Happy Friday. Lucky and I will, of course, be together at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday night. We are going to be doing a great show, really based out of third, fourth, fifth, higher dimensional thinking, living experiences. What's that all about this Saturday on February 8th of 2025? So, good morning, everybody. Good day. So, consider that changing your speech there for a moment. If you tell yourself how much you love yourself, put you while you're viewing yourself. Don't be scared to see you. You're beautiful with your complexities and your faults, and oh, humans are beautiful. We're all beautiful. Others. All development, change, growth. Same as how the brain has to communicate with all the parts of the body and all the inner workings of the brain to develop, change, grow. Same works in our society. We have to have others in our little sphere, as I will remind everyone at the beginning of this, the sacred geometry card that came out was synergy. I will read it again. We have to be in communication with others, other humans, others. So self to self, self and others. Let's look at this sacred geometry card again. Synergy number 41. The frequency of synergy supports our allowance and acceptance of not so obvious, never seen before combinations and unions that result in a new ways of functioning, working, thinking, relating, loving, and being. It reminds us to embrace the unfamiliar so that new yet exciting co creations can give birth to a new reality. That's self to others, self to others to others, all of those individual selves with others. That is the sacred geometry of synergy. Oh my goodness, folks. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Others. But when we go back to the first video of this three-part series, there is a playlist entitled 3D Consciousness. When we go back to the first one, I talked about how oftentimes it's these relations with others that kind of can hold us in third dimensional consciousness living experiences. It's not easy. If we were an island to ourselves, if we were one man standing, well, my goodness, we would just zoom, zoom, zoom right up the conscious level chart, the ascension process, or would we? Keep that in mind. Self and others. How we change, grow, develop is when we communicate with others. We learn this way. We can view others as mirrors of ourselves. Lucky Stone 888 is always expressing that when he is speaking with others, it's actually words for himself. So we need to be conscious of what we're saying to others because oftentimes, because we're mirrors of one another, we're actually trying to talk to ourselves. We are mirrors of one another, reflecting back and forth, back and forth. And light reflects light. And in the Akashic message for February, for the collective, there was a phrase in there as in light reflects light and love pours into that light for its reflection even more so. So oftentimes it's others who are going to see that we changed and that we're healing. It's others that are helping us in the process. But at the same token, it's others that tend to make it difficult. Healing. This is going to be that brief moment that I'm going to talk about healing. Okay? Healing in today's world is because we are approaching a new dawn. And it's not like we haven't been at dawns before, golden ages, renaissance, what have you. Healing has always kind of been in and out of the communication and experience of people throughout time and space, either science based, energy based, nature based, all of the different forms of healing. Well, there's self healing. That's definitely, you got to get with self to understand what self needs. But then there's healing of others. And in today's world, there's a lot of talk about energy healing and whatnot, right? Especially in the woo woo communities that would maybe be more subscribed to Stars of the Morning Light than not. Here's the thing about healing, and I don't care if it's a energy healing for physical, emotional, mental, counseling. I am always going to be a very strong advocate for counseling. Even with counseling, even with, let's say, physical healing done by a surgeon, all of those all of those different forms, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, all of it, energy, physical, emotional, all of it, it requires a willingness from the individual who needs the healing, a willingness. As many of you know here, at one point I spun my entire left foot completely 180 degrees around. Yeah, I'm like magic, folks. Didn't even know that could happen, did ya? Well, then I had to be healed. A surgeon had to come in, reconstruct an entire new ankle. I'm full of metal and screws. I'm the bionic woman. That's an old joke for us older people. So, in that though, the surgeon did what the surgeon needed to do. And thank goodness. It was up to me, though, to go to physical therapy. And this is going to be an allegory to kind of drive home what I'm trying to give example of here. Some of the physical therapy, easy peasy, could do. Some of it. But then I had to learn how to walk up a flight of stairs. And what some of us might not know, because if you haven't had to do it, you wouldn't know. We learn how to walk, how to go upstairs, not because someone is actually demonstrating, but because as little kids, little babies, we are witnessing and watching through others how to do it. I walked on my first birthday. It was a big old thing because I walked on my very first birthday. And I walked to everybody was in the kitchen, getting the cake ready, doing what they were doing. But my grandfather was in the living room with me, and I just started walking to my grandpa. And my dad came out of the kitchen and, oh my God, she's walking. And of course, grandpa was like, yeah, of course, kids do that. I walked on my first birthday. So therefore, birth to first birthday, I am watching. How is that done? Seems like all those big things walk around. Same with stairs. We learn how to navigate stairs at such a small age. We also, at the same time, are witnessing and watching and adopting what was the whole message at the beginning of this series in a playlist, all the bad traits of codependency that 97% of all humans fall into somewhere. That is documented now statistically across the globe. At the same time as we're just learning how to walk, we're also learning those reactions, thought patterns, habits, and behaviors from those around us. So they are very ingrained, extremely ingrained. I'm using this as an example because now as an adult, I was 25, I believe, when I did this, 25, 26. I had to learn how to walk upstairs. After it became this is a normal thing. My brain doesn't even think about it. It's a motor function. I just walk upstairs. I spun my entire foot around, had to be reconstructed, and couldn't even put pressure on it for at least 4 months. The brain completely kind of wiped out how to walk and how to go upstairs. Because when there's such a severe accident like that, that's what the brain's going to do. And it can't really pull from the subconscious what is just known within the body. So I had to be shown as an adult how to do it correctly, how to roll the ankle that is all metal, on how to roll the ankle to go upstairs. I will tell you folks that that was one of the most excruciating experiences I had to go through. There were only 3 steps that I had to keep going up and down, up and down, up and down. And I will tell you, mentally, to rewire my brain consciously, to implant how to do something that was taught by my own witnessing as a very young child, to re teach myself, rewire my brain, excruciating mentally and physically, to the point that those 3 steps over and over again, I would be sweating, I would be talking to myself, I'd be talking to my brain. I did not give a shit what anybody around me thought because I knew I wanted to walk. I wanted to hike. When I first got to the doctor and he was like, "Oh yeah, you need massive surgery." My first response was, "Will I ever hike again?" I used to be a big hiker. I mean, hiking mountains in Oregon, hiking this, hiking that. I was a hiker prior to this accident. That was my main concern. Well, if I can't even go upstairs, I definitely can't hike. I pushed myself so hard. The physical pain, the mental anguish. I would be talking to myself, talking to my brain as tears are streaming down my face to walk 3 steps, to just do 3 steps over and over again, up and down, up and down, up and down. 3D to 5D, 3D to 5D, up and down. It is not easy to heal. It takes willingness, courage, and the self-love to know that you're worth it, you deserve it, and we have to heal so much in order to change our view, our experience of that connection of love, development, growth with self to others. So, regardless if you are a healer, I'm a healer, regardless of whatever type of healing you're receiving or working on, it takes the individual self to be open, willing, have the courage to receive and to do. Energy healers, they're not the ones healing people. It is actually the individual, the client, who is doing the healing. The healer is just a conduit, support. It will always be that relationship to self first. But then when we do heal, when we really truly start healing all this stuff, well, then our relationships change. This is when we do the hermetics aspect of as within, so around, so without. Our realities with our relationships change. And then that's that second tier or that second element we need, right? The second one in our ascension process, getting towards that Christ consciousness, getting towards obtaining unconditional love for self and others. The compassion of 5D, fifth dimensional consciousness, is all based and settled and anchored in compassion to self and others. Seventh dimensional consciousness is when the judgments of self and others, those fears, insecurities, doubts, hesitation, all of that that holds the humans back from obtaining all these wonderful abilities we can have, these superhuman ways, we won't be able to get to that until we're having a seventh dimensional living experience that has stripped away all of the judgments that 3D is created of. Third dimensional living is designed for us to choose ourselves to move out of that. And the only way we can do it is first with compassion for self and others, and then beginning to release the judgments. And when we get to that, I do have to tell you, you will be able to witness and notice and observe that actually judgment is in all things in 3D. Judgment is in everything. Well, judgment doesn't allow unconditional, now does it? Hence why back when I would have Googled in 2013 types of love and agape would come up, it was only represented by the great divine could obtain that. But it is obtainable. Self to self to others, compassion for self and others. Practice, practice, practice. My teacher, Sri Ramka, would have said over and over again, everything is an opportunity to practice compassion. It starts there. And then, of course, as we are practicing that, the third way to begin to obtain love, grand love, Christ consciousness, is self to the divine. And I'm not going to get into this that much because I really am emphasizing some other things here. But here's a fun little practice to really connect self to self through the eyes of a divine. So, as in 2013, as I'm really trying to understand this whole like Christ love, Christ consciousness, love, unconditional, how does this happen? Love keeps no record of wrongs. Everybody misses that part, don't they? They know Corinthians like the back of their hand, yet that line is forgotten greatly. That love keeps no record of wrongs, compassion to self and others. As I'm studying this back when, 10 years ago, I really did need to understand, folks. I mean, I was struggling. I was struggling with this love thing, and I was already like 3 years into marriage. Like, what is going on here? Because as I stated, I got married out of fear and insecurities. A lot of us do, but love can grow. Love can happen. Love to the divine from self to self and back, right? I actually started using my animal, my dog, and it's a great tool that we can. Seriously, if you have a cat, if you have a dog, whatever little furry four-legged you might be into, lizard, I guess even snakes, whatever you might be into, right? Or just nature out there. How I started using it is that I would notice how I would talk to my dog. Would I have to maybe tell my dog to stop barking, or tell my dog to go lay down, or discipline my dog in some way, give my dog some direction as to what is going on, teach my dog all of the tricks and also training that's needed for when others are around, or what have you. My dog. I then also learned how much I cared about the well being of my dog. Okay, so that's love. But then I really started paying attention to the way I spoke to my dog. And I am that type of dog parent that thinks their dog is wonderful, good boy, good girl, whatever dog I have at the time. You know, you were so loved. Yes, thank you for eating your food. Thank you for telling me you need to go outside. All these loving, caring, you are the best dog in the whole world when they're doing something right. Or when, heck, we're just laying on the couch and I embrace them and I love you. I love you. Thank you for all you do for me. Love you. Love you. Not only did I say, you know what? I bet that's how the divine talks to me. I bet that's how the divine sees me. Not because I'm less than really, but because that's unconditional love. My dog never did anything that I could not forgive directly in the moment. No matter if it was having accidents on the carpet, uh, ripping stuff up, I never, ever did not hold my dog accountable for making mistakes. One thing. And then I realized how my dog would react. Let's say I did have to, I don't know, train them, punish them, what have you, discipline them. Within 2 minutes, my dog is then on my lap, loving me, licking me, giving me all sorts of favor. He didn't hold it against me for having to discipline. He forgot it already happened. Kept no record of wrongs. So, in this relationship with my four-legged, which I'm always close to my four-leggeds tremendously, not only did I come to realize how the divine and myself can actually are communicating. I am forgiven all the time in the exact moment that I mess up because heck, I'm human. I'm learning. I'm going to make mistakes. The divine says it's okay. Let's figure out how to clean this up, and you are still greatly loved, and pats my head and says, "That a girl, you're doing great." And then I turn to them and say, "Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for still putting food in my bowl. I needed that. Thank you." Connection with the divine, self to the divine. I learned a lot through my communication of working with my animal as to unconditional love keeps no record of wrongs. And then I took that and applied, oh my goodness, this is how the divine and I communicate. Oh my goodness, this is wonderful. This is unconditional love. Then I applied that to others. Then I applied that to others. So when someone else does something that, oh, that's a big mistake. You're probably hurting yourself more than you're hurting me. Oh, that's a mistake. I keep no record of wrongs. Let's figure out how to clean this up and fix it. I keep no record of wrongs. When we start practicing that, compassion for self and others, keeping no record of wrongs, when we practice that consistently, as my teacher would have said, everything in life is an opportunity to practice compassion. The more we are conscious in our choice to practice compassion, keeping no record of wrongs, the more we are able to sustain fifth dimensional consciousness thinking, living experiences more often and often and often. Whoa, we're hearing five more. We're hearing five more. I haven't sunk into three. How is that possible? Because we are choosing to practice compassion. It's fascinating because the first video would have told you that how we sink from five back into three is usually based on our relationships with others. But it takes that grand healing that we need to do with self to self, all those things that we have to identify within ourselves that need to be healed and not deny them, to then begin to practice the self or that type of love of self with another. I'm going to read something, and this is where I'm going to finish off, folks. So if you haven't watched the other two videos that are attached to this little series, it's a three-part. There is a playlist below. Please consider subscribing Stars of the Morning Light on patreon.com, at least as a free member right now, so you can look at everything. And I will be sending out free videos this weekend. And also share this out. If you think this can benefit others, the playlist definitely, because compassion to self and others also means that gentle hand to one another. This is from the Essential Rumi. The Essential Rumi. Oh, great. And this is a poem entitled Of Being Woven. The way is full of genuine sacrifice. The thickets blocking the path are anything that keeps you from that, any fear that you may be broken to bits like glass bottle. This road demands courage and stamina, yet it's full of footprints. Who are these companions? They are rungs in the ladder. Use them. With company, you quicken your ascent. You may be happy enough going along, but with others, you'll get further and faster. Someone who goes cheerfully by himself to the customs house to pay his traveler's tax will go even more light-heartedly when friends are with him. Every prophet sought out companions. A wall standing alone is useless, but put 3 or 4 walls together, and they'll support a roof and keep the grain dry and safe. When ink joins with a pen, when the blank paper can say something, rushes and reeds must be woven to be useful as a mat. If they weren't interlaced, the wind would blow them away. Like that, God paired up creatures and gave them friendship. This is how the fowler and the bird were arguing about Hermetic living and Islam. It is a prolonged debate. Hamas shortened the controversy, making the Methnui more nimble and less laboring. Agile sounds are more appealing to the heart's ear. So that last little bit. Many probably don't know that hermetics actually causes great debate with Islamic teachings, Christ consciousness teachings, Buddhist teachings. Many people don't know that. And this is why, even though I have a hermetic playlist here, and you can go watch it and listen, I will always say that unfortunately, humans need to learn hermetics in order to break themselves free from the system of hermetics. The- This states why. Hermetics is that self to self, more in the I am alone, I am an island, I'm going to figure out how this system works. It's needed. But to unbind yourself from the system of hermetic third dimensional thinking consciousness, you got to go beyond that. You got to go beyond that. And that is relational. That is very much relational. That is no prophet stood alone. Every prophet sought out companions. That is 3D consciousness holds us into the relational, codependent thought patterns, habits, and behaviors that make it very hard. Hermetics holds us into self and how everything is constructed in the viewpoint of this is how it works, me. Never saw it that way, have you, folks? Christ consciousness, other masters had ascended out of the restriction of hermetics, but it took developing, sustaining, healing, learning, knowing the wisdom out of the living experience that can only come from having companionship. Healthy, good, compassion, keeps no record of wrongs. Companionship. Because it's with the companionship that we can have self to self. Beautiful. It starts there. Same as it only starts with hermetics. We can have a relationship with the divine. Awesome. Good. Thank you for loving me. I love you. Where's the practical practice? The practical feet on the ground, as the poem said, yet it's full of footprints The road demands courage and stamina. Everything is going to try to block you, break you into bits like a glass bottle. But yet there's footprints on this road. It is not actually the road less traveled. It is the road that we walk together. Use the communities. Use your partnerships. Find companionship, because there is nothing that will develop higher consciousness, obtain higher love, more so than taking life as an opportunity to practice compassion for self and others. The beginning of the series talked about the cause and effect of how our current relationships within 3D consciousness continues to bind us into the lower frequencies, 3D. And it's so interesting that it's the same relationships, the same blueprint, road, footprints that we have to use to ascend out and above and to higher living consciousness frequency experiences. Self to self, self to others, self to the divine. The three have to be in harmony with great healing that can only happen within the individual. So that's my little bow on all of this series. That is why I do very much encourage people to participate with Stars of the Morning Light on Patreon, because that community there every week are helping each other manifest, helping each other heal, helping each other learn, grow, ascend, do differently, choose differently with the support of a lovely community. Most people talk about community, which I love it. I love community. But oftentimes, those communities don't know that they're still in the mix of 3D. And so it's not until we can witness others, they witness us, the communication that happens within, all that witnessing and observing, that we start to heal, grow, and change. No man is an island unto himself, as much as Hermetics would like to pronounce, because that is what Hermetics does. And that is why, maybe I'll cover that at some point. There was always big debate between Christ consciousness and Hermetics, Islamic faith, Buddhist faith with Hermetics. Hermetics is very much just to learn the operational system here. It takes a whole greater divine higher love to ascend out of that. So I love you all so much. Thank you for coming in. Oh, Susie came in. Good to see you, my dear. Everybody, Scotty Boy, Seeker of Truth, everyone, Jackie J, Robert V, Lucky Stone 888, and definitely, please, everyone, be with us tomorrow night, February 8th at 8 o'clock Eastern time. So like 5 o'clock for y'all out in the West Coast, because Lucky and I are going to be talking about 3D, 4D, 5D, 7D, very much probably through the lens of perception. So I love you all. Have a great weekend. Self to self, you I love. Self to others, you I love. Self to the divine, you I love. Have a great weekend, beautiful stars. I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.